Well, it's time for a Clark County update, and it has been a very busy week. In fact, just on Tuesday, I believe I gave 4 different, public comments. First, the Ethics Commission, then a couple CTRAN meetings, and then the Clark County Council meeting. But I started off on Tuesday with the Ethics Commission, or what I like to call the non-Ethics Commission, because the Skamania report that just recently came out, in a way, kind of blasted them. I mean, they didn't say it in those kind of language, but they just, it's very clear that the same information that they looked at and the Skamania detective looked at, they came to complete different, decisions on what was there. But that's going to be a video for the future, sometime in the near future, where I'll go into in depth and break down all the failures of the Ethics Commission. But moving on to the CTRAN meetings that happened then later in the day. So then the CTRAN had a meeting regarding kind of the structure of the board. You see, the Vancouver mayor, it's not good enough that she's got 2 or 3 of the county council seats, so she pretty much owns the county council. It's not good enough, all the other kind of things, the throwing off Belcott, putting on Will Fuentes. No. We have to reshuffle the CTRAN makeup and take seats away from the little cities. That's what Marianne likes to refer to them as, the little cities. And so, and this has been a court issue and back and forth, and so whoever came up with the genius plan, it's brilliant, but they said, okay, we'll give you the seats that you want. However, number one, the county that gets an extra seat, you can't have any seats that represent Vancouver, because that would give Vancouver more representation. So that means Will Fuentes, gone. You can't sit on the CTRAN meeting. The other brilliant thing of this was they said, you know what, in the little cities, don't have to fund the light rail O&M unless there's a vote to the people. And if they vote and they approve, then fine. But and we all know, come on, this is what's brilliant about it. So they're giving in, they were trying to manipulate more seats, and they're putting stipulations on it, and it was approved. So immediately Sue Marshall just puffed, and and you got to remember, she represents a district that does not want, most of Clark County does not want light rail, but North County really doesn't want light rail, because they're going to have to pay for it, and they're not going to really be able to use it. It's not going to be something, the city of Vancouver wants a shiny train, and she wants North County to pay for it. And, not too wild about this. So Sue Marshall, to kind of play both sides, is kind of like, well, it's not that I support light rail. It's just that I think that we should be able to negotiate, at least have the conversation. Wow, that wasn't the Sue Marshall that we saw in that CTRAN meeting, because she was pretty upset about this, and because it knows that this could kill light rail if it holds, and so, well, we're gonna have to get our lawyers involved and all this kind of stuff. So pretty fascinating. The other thing that happened was letting them know that, hey, Will Fuentes might not be a properly seated representation or representative, and every vote that he's taken, that might have to get rescinded. That might have to be called back. So that shot was thrown across the bow by several people in the public, including myself. And also Belcott's lawyer sent a letter to the CTRAN board, with the Skamania report saying, this has been filed in the case. So then from there it went to 4 o'clock, 5:30 CTRAN, and then 6 o'clock was the Clark County Council meeting. So I don't want to go speculate too much, but it just seems awfully convenient that these 3 very important meetings were stacked up on top of each other. But maybe not. Maybe just, not thinking that one through. But so while I'm waiting for the Clark County Council meeting to give comment to really, this is the first meeting since the Skamania report has come out in which a detective determined that they have acted illegally, that Michelle Belcott should be reinstated, that Will Fuentes should be removed from the CTRAN board. So I'm waiting to give public comment when the staff present the 5-year homeless plan or scheme or grift or whatever you want to call it. But basically, it's more of the same. It's more of that, but actually that's not true. They want more money for staff. So before services, now they're like, you know what, we're not paying the workers enough. And so we need more money there. In the staff report, basically it's loaded with housing first, even though they scrubbed it with actually using housing first, but the principles are still there. It's still a driving force of the homeless plan, homeless strategy. And not only that, but also harm reduction. So in several sections, but 6.1 in particular says fund and develop harm reduction practices, explore ways to integrate a broad range of harm reduction processes and approaches. So that's code words for we want to expand it. So right now, a driving aspect of harm reduction are needles. In fact, they give out, the last reports that I saw, they gave out more needles than people in Clark County. Yes, over 500,000 needles distributed in Clark County when the population is 540,000 or whatever. Try to wrap your head around that. I didn't get a free needle. Did you get a free needle? Maybe, I don't know. And so where are all these needles going? Because from what I hear, fentanyl is the big thing. Anyways, it's just, but they want to expand it. They want to expand. So, that's something to keep an eye on. The other thing is that they want to push laws, ordinances, that it says develop tenant protections. So Washington State's already passed rent control. They're wanting to go further because don't you know the homeowners, the landowners, that's the problem here. Pass ordinances that provide legal protections against no-fault evictions, discrimination based on source of income, unreasonable look-back period for criminal background checks. So they're like, hey, you can't go more than a couple years back. Restrictive tenant screening criteria. So basically, that's the next phase of this is, and think about that, homelessness, and now they're venturing into kind of, more Marxist, anti-capitalist type of policies of coming after the landowners, coming after the homeowners that are renting and whatnot. So that's what's coming. Oh, and one of my favorite things about this report is that the staff continually tries to bury the aspect of, wait for it, substance abuse. So this is something that, they don't want to talk about. They don't want to promote. They want to minimize it. And they did it in this staff report by putting drug use as a factor in homelessness. Now, where would you probably put that? As a, stronger factor, a weaker factor? The staff put it in the statistically weaker factor column. It says high rates of drug use and mental health conditions. It's just crazy. So this whole situation, it's a clown show with our 5-year homeless plan. It's really a 5-year homeless plan to increase it, to keep the grift going, keep the homeless industry going, to, it's basically you're being handed a bucket and you're being told it's water when it's really gas, and you're like throwing gas on a fire hoping it will go out. And the experts are standing behind the person throwing the bucket going, what a dope. Like, just keep doing it. I'm sure there's some good people. I know that there's a lot of good people who are trying to help people. But when it comes to the policies, when it comes to the implementation, the political side, it's corrupt. It's corrupt. And this just demonstrates it. And unfortunately, we're in for it. This plan takes us into 2030. So my bet, I'm gonna bet right here. We can put it out on the intranet and say homelessness is gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. It's not gonna get better. And I just point to Portland, point to Seattle, and say, look at the hundreds of millions of dollars that they've spent, and it's just gotten worse. So that's just a nutshell of this week. Wanted to bring you up to speed on a few things that's going on here in Clark County, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Here we go. Microphone check, 1, 2, here we go. And I'ma let you know.